What's up everyone, I'm Dan and thanks to Sometimes You for the review code for Murder Inc. on the Nintendo Switch. Murder Inc. wants to be that slick, stylish action game where every move you make feels like something ripped straight from a John Wick movie, all precision, chaos and cool slow motion gunfights. It's got the vibe down, grimy city streets, neon lights and pulsing retro wave soundtrack that makes you feel like you're in the middle of a pixelated action movie. On paper it sounds amazing, a top-down adrenaline-fueled shooter where time only moves when you do, but in practice, Murder Inc. too often feels like a fight against its own controls rather than the criminals you're supposed to be taking down. Right from the start, the game drops you into the action with zero explanation. There's no tutorial, no easing in period, just a gun in your hand and enemies waiting to turn you into a smear on the floor. While the core controls are simple enough, move, aim, shoot, the game never takes the time to teach you the nuances of how it all works. As a result, your first hour or so feels like a frustrating series of deaths as you stumble through each encounter trying to figure out what the game expects from you. Eventually things start to click, but by that point you've probably died a dozen times and question whether it's worth pushing through. The biggest problem here is how fiddly everything feels. The aiming in particular is sluggish and imprecise. You're constantly fighting against the controls instead of enjoying the combat. Even when you manage to lock onto enemies, there's still an awkwardness to lining up your shots that never quite feels right. It's especially disappointing because this kind of top-down shooter lives and dies by how smooth and responsive it plays. To its credit, the time mechanic adds an interesting layer of strategy. Time slows to a crawl whenever you stop moving, allowing you to plan your next move, dodge incoming bullets and line up those cinematic shots. It's a clever idea, one that gives the game a unique rhythm compared to other twin stick shooters. But again, the execution doesn't live up to the potential. The clunky aiming and awkward movement make it difficult to take full advantage of the mechanic, turning what should be slick tactical moments into messy improvisations that often end in failure. Adding to the tension is the game's ruthless ammo system. You can't reload. Once you've emptied your gun, it's useless. You have to throw it away and find another weapon lying around or risk closing the distance for a melee takedown. In theory, this creates intense, high-stakes decision making. In practice, it's often just frustrating. There's nothing worse than running dry mid-fight, desperately searching for a new weapon, only to be mowed down because the aiming fought you at the worst possible time. There are flashes of brilliance buried beneath the frustration, ricocheting bullets off walls to hit enemies from clever angles feels great when it works, and the combination of slow motion movement and quick bursts of action can occasionally capture that cinematic flair the game is clearly going for. The gritty pixel art style and pulsating soundtrack also do a lot of heavy lifting, making the world feel stylish and dangerous. For players who thrive on challenge and who don't mind wrestling with the mechanics, there's definitely something here to appreciate. But for everyone else, Murder Inc. is a tough sell. Compared to similar games like Ocho, which nailed the same concept with smoother controls and more rewarding gameplay, Murder Inc. feels like it just doesn't quite reach those exhilarating highs Ocho did. It's just not as an accessible game. There's no on-ramp for new players and the steep learning curve is made worse by mechanical quirks that make basic actions harder than they should be. I wanted to like Murder Inc. The premise is strong, the aesthetic is fantastic, and there's clearly ambition behind it, but too often that ambition is undermined by frustration. What should be a stylish, pulse-pounding experience ends up feeling like a constant struggle to make the game do what you want it to. For those who love challenging twin-stick shooters and have the patience to master its quirks, Murder Inc. might still be worth a look. But for everyone else, it's likely to leave the same impression it left on me, one of missed potential and mounting irritation. Murder Inc. releases on the Nintendo eShop on the 22nd of October, priced at $8.99 in the UK and $9.99 in the US. Thanks to you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the review, don't forget to hit that like button, and until next time.